Hello, my name is Peter Panov, take he, him pronouns, and welcome to First Parish in Needham, a Unitarian Universalist congregation. We are a proud LGBTQ welcoming congregation, climate seeking green sanctuary, level 2 sanctuary supporting congregation, and whoever you are, wherever you're connecting from, whatever your background is, you're welcome here. Sorry about that confusion. I didn't know I'd be giving the welcome until whatever. So something a little unusual this year is that for Christmas, we will only be having one service. We'll have the earlier service, and then we will have the social hour. And this is because we don't expect to have an overflowing sanctuary this way. And it means a little less, stress and work for the staff and everyone involved. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll have a good turnout of everybody who wants to be in person.
As we light our chalice this morning, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, we will also be lighting the first, second, and third candles of our Advent wreath, representing hope, peace, and the pink candle for joy. And as we do this, we will receive the words written by Euro-American UU minister, Reverend Amy Russell. You who feel your heart is breaking, come in.
You who are confused and wondering, come in.
You who are angry, in pain, or not wanting to be here, come in.
You who are hopeful and energized, come in.
Come into this community of your heart where you have been held in love and in comfort, where you have shared your joy and your spirit, where you have asked questions because you felt they needed asking, where you have found friendship and companions, where you have sometimes not agreed, and sometimes not felt comforted, and sometimes not felt heard.
Bring your broken heart and your grief, share them.
Bring your confusion and your questions, share them.
Bring your anger and your pain, share them.
Bring your hope and your energy, share them.
For here in this place, we can be together. We can gather in all the conflicting emotions tumbling around in our heads and our hearts. We bring them together here and lay them on the altar of community. For community means that fragile, not perfect human beings can come together in the name of peace and seek to find peace again.
Peace.
Hope.
Healing.
May it be so.
Our first hymn, There Is More Love Somewhere, is also known as Biko, in honor of South African anti-apartheid activist Stephen Bantu Biko, who founded the South African Student Organization. He was beaten to death while being interrogated after his arrest in 1977, and this hymn commemorates his efforts toward equality. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing There's More Love Somewhere. The lyrics are printed in the order of service or in the online version of the order of service, and they can also be found at number 95 in the gray hymnals.
There is more love somewhere.
keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the covenant is a set of promises the membership of a congregation strives to honor with one another and out in the world. Though we cannot all gather in person, we strive to live these promises every day. Please say along with me, from here or from home, the words of our parish covenant, as shown on the screen and in your orders of service. We gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another. We gather as a diverse community to support each other in our search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is so good to see all of you today. And now I'm going to be a bit of a bummer and tell you that we're talking about sadness. In this world, there is sorrow. There is sadness that we find along our journeys, along with joy. And sometimes it can be hard to know what to do with that. Especially we're in a season like this where the holidays are supposed to be joyful and light, and sometimes we just cannot get ourselves there. What do we do? Well, today we're going to hear a lovely story in this group affair. How exciting. Getting the old band back together again. It is a story of three dear friends. A little girl, a flamingo, and of course, a potato. A classic tale. This story is from the book I'm Sad by Michael Ian Black. Let us hear this story together.
I'm sad. Will I always feel like this?
I don't think so.
I was sad once.
I didn't know potatoes could be sad.
Everybody feels sad sometimes.
Even astronauts?
Even astronauts.
If I was an astronaut, I would never be sad.
Why do sad things happen?
That's just the way it is.
But why is that just the way it is?
Because if it were any other way, then that would be the way it is. And it's not that way. It's this way.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense at all.
Flamingo, I think you need some good old-fashioned cheering up.
Yeah, I know what cheers me up when I'm feeling sad.
What?
Ice cream.
Flamingos don't eat ice cream.
Potatoes don't eat ice cream. I know what cheers me up when I'm feeling sad.
What?
Dirt!
Hockey.
Dirt!
Jungle adventures.
Dirt!
Spy stuff.
Soil!
Dirt and soil are the same thing, potato.
I thought I'd maybe fool you.
I'm still sad.
Oh. Well, Maybe it's okay just to be sad.
Why would that be okay?
Sometimes when I'm sad, it feels kind of good to let myself be sad.
People are weird.
Will you still like me if I'm sad again tomorrow?
I don't like you just when you're happy. I like you all the time, when you're sad or angry or bored or anything else.
What about you, Potato? Will you still like me if I'm sad again tomorrow?
I don't even like you right now.
That was really funny.
Do you still feel sad?
I still feel a little bit sad, but I also feel a little bit better. And I think I'm okay with that. So as Sarah Elizabeth takes our children off to their religious exploration time, we will join in singing. Yes, what we join in singing. Oops. The song,
Long time son.
Long time son. Thank you. Thank you. Long time son. Lyrics are in our orders of service.
During our worship service, when we share joys and concerns that are very close to our hearts and to our lives. Our ministerial intern, Dara, is receiving pre-submitted candles at internminister@uuneedham.org by the Thursday before the service at midnight. If you're in the parish hall and have a joy or concern, you're welcome to quietly offer a stone at the altar or write your joy or concern on a slip of paper, which the pastoral care team and I will see at a later time with your permission. And if you're watching on Zoom or YouTube, you may type your candle into the chat box to be held by the community watching the service with you. As our services do live stream to YouTube, we cannot guarantee that your joys, concerns, sorrows, and milestones will stay within the First Parish community. So you are always welcome to reach out to me, to Dara, or to the Pastoral Care Associate of the Week, Buffy Dewig, for pastoral care or to share more privately. Our only pre-submitted candle comes from the First Parish staff team, a candle of mixed joy and concern in the wake of our country's prisoner exchange with Russia, joy for the return of WNBA star Brittany Griner, and concern for Paul Whelan and all other political prisoners who have yet to regain their freedom. Now, if you are here in the sanctuary and have a joy or concern to share, please come forward, light a candle here, and then share your name, your pronouns, and briefly describe what is on your heart.
Hi, I'm still Peter Panov. And I'm lighting a candle in support of my significant other, who is going to be going through a very important moment in her dissertation this week. And I hope it goes really well.
Hi, I'm Ann Barrett. That's a candle commemoration for my father, who died about 20 years ago, in December 13th, so in a couple of days it'll be the big anniversary. And for my brother Mark, who followed him in less than 2 weeks. So December, the holidays are always, tinged with a little bit of sadness for that memory. And I can't believe it's been 2 decades. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura Brown. My mom has dementia, and she's in assisted living. And my sister really gets upset every time we see her. And I went out to lunch with Phil and Carolyn Lyons yesterday, and Phil said, maybe she's pre-grieving.
I'm going to light 2 final candles, one for our whole community as we mourn and celebrate our first parishioner of blessed memory, Jim Sargent. We had a beautiful memorial service for him yesterday. And in recognition that this community has suffered so many losses this fall, and the theme today of sorrow in the time of joy is truly appropriate for our community as we remember with such love those who have died this fall. And I'll also light a candle for all the joys and sorrows we still hold in our hearts, and for the prayers of our neighbors near and far. I invite you now into a time of meditation and reflection as we solemnly remember the 10th anniversary of the mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. In the introduction to his poem, Heal the Cracks in the Bell of the World, local Puerto Rican poet and professor Martin Espada wrote, "For the community of Newtown, Connecticut, where 20 students and 6 educators lost their lives to a gunman at Sandy Hook Elementary, December 14th, 2012. Let's take together a deep breath in and let it out. As I ring the singing bowl and we begin to meditate together on this poem. Now the bells speak with their tongues of bronze. Now the bells open their mouths of bronze to say, listen to the bells a world away, listen to the bell in the ruins of a city where children gathered copper shells like beach glass, and the copper boiled in the foundry, and the bell born in the foundry says, I was born of bullets, but now I sing of a world where bullets melt into bells. Listen to the bell in a city where cannons from the armies of the Great War sank into molten metal, bubbling like a vat of chocolate, and the many mouths that once spoke the tongue of smoke form one mouth of a bell that says, I was born of cannons, but now I sing of a world where cannons melt into bells. Listen to the bells in a town with a flagpole on Main Street, a rooster weather vane keeping watch atop the meeting house, the congregation gathering to sing in times of great silence. Here, the bells rock their heads of bronze as if to say, melt the bullets into bells, melt the bullets into bells. Here the bells raise their heavy heads as if to say, melt the cannons into bells, melt the cannons into bells. Here the bells sing of a world where weapons crumble deep in the earth and no one remembers where they are buried. Now the bells pass the word at midnight in an ancient language of bronze, from bell to bell like ships smuggling news of liberation from island to island, the song rippling through the clouds. Now the bells chime like the muscle beating in every chest. Heal the cracks in the bell of every face listening to the bells. The chimes heal the cracks in the bell of the moon. The chimes heal the cracks in the bell of the world. May we melt the bullets into bells. May we heal the bell of the world. Amen. Please remain seated as we sing our meditative response. It's called If We Just Talk of Thoughts and Prayers. It's a new piece written by a Presbyterian minister set to the tune of Though I may speak. Yes. With bravest fire. We're having a banner day today, remembering things. Please join in singing these words that are in your orders of service, both printed and online.
Wow, I found that hymn really moving. It was beautifully done. So this congregation has been supported by the volunteered time and treasure of its members and friends since its founding in 1711. This is the time in our service when we, the modern stewards of this church, offer what we can to build and sustain the congregation and the world that we envision. This month, our collections are being split 50-50 with Pathways Family Shelter. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, more families are experiencing homelessness, and traditional shelters can be scary and unfriendly, especially for children. For many years, Family Pathways Shelter has provided a communal living space with 14 private family rooms to help local families get through difficult times. First Parish is a longtime supporter of Pathways Family Shelter. For those unable to sign up here in the building. You can also contact our religious educator, Sarah Elizabeth, with any questions you might have. To donate, you can use one of 3 methods as described in detail in your orders of service. You can use text to give at 73256. You can donate through our website, uuneedham.org, or you can write a check and give cash in the offering plate or mail your gift to First Parish. Whatever way you give, please be sure to specify whether your gift is for today's collection or for your 2023 pledge. Thank you for everything you are able to give to help support and sustain this congregation and the vital work of our community and partners. And many thanks to Lynn and Elliot Jakowski for the beautiful poinsettias gracing our sanctuary this morning. If the ushers could come forward, please.
Christmas time is here, happiness and cheer, fun for all
Our reading this morning is by Lebanese-American poet and artist Khalil Gibran. Then a woman said, "Speak to us of joy and sorrow." And he answered, "Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the selfsame well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. How else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? Is not the lute that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed with knives? When you are joyous, look deep into your hearts, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in your hearts, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say, joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at standstill and balanced. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and his silver, needs must your joy or your sorrow rise or fall. Here ends our reading.
So, my mother was first diagnosed with cancer in 2005, when my youngest child was about 18 months old. My mother was an extrovert who loved life. She loved to sing and to dance. She reveled in lively dinner table conversations, and her social calendar was always full. So when she was diagnosed with cancer, she decided to throw herself a farewell to the breast party. And it was right before her mastectomy, and we gathered in the evening and laughed and joked and cried, sending her off on her way. But my mother declared that night that cancer was not going to be what killed her. And I mark my life with her in terms of before cancer and after cancer, because while the mastectomy took care of those tumors in her breast, and the after-surgery drugs caused another cancer that needed more surgery and more after-surgery drugs that all took a really heavy toll. So you would think by the summer of 2018 that I would not have been surprised by the wholesale return of her cancer that had metastasized to her leg bones, her spine, her skull, and her liver, but I was. And it soon became apparent that she could no longer live at home alone, so my husband and my 2 children and I created a room for her in our house, and she moved in with us for her final months. And these months between August and January when she died were such a difficult and brutally beautiful time. We had her with us, but every day we lost a little bit more of her. Cancer is a bugger that robbed us of my mother's sparkle, her energy, her joy, and her laughter. And Christmas of that year had my whole family, all of us, packed into our small house. My brothers and their wives, my 5 nieces and nephews, my cousin, my mom's only niece, flew in from Switzerland. Our house was overflowing. We laughed a lot that Christmas because it seemed as if our only other choice would have been to cry. The day after Christmas is my older brother's birthday, and we all gathered around the dining room table for lunch, and my mother joined us. But she quickly tired and went off to take a nap, and she never woke up from that nap. 2 weeks later, she died. And I am forever grateful to have had her with us for that final Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yes, it was really hard celebrating when we knew that any moment could be her last. But that knowledge also brought immeasurable gratitude for every minute that we did have. And I truly felt Khalil Gibran's words that some of you say that joy is greater than sorrows, and others say, nay, sorrow is greater. But I say unto you that they are inseparable. They come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember the other is asleep in your bed. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. I cannot tell you how many times during her last months that I felt myself perilously balanced between joy and sorrow. There were times when I sat with my mom in her bed and we would talk and make each other laugh until tears were gathering in our eyes, and I felt how precariously close my laughter was to sobbing. So, one of my favorite things about being your ministerial intern is my weekly supervision with Reverend Katie. We have the best conversations that occasionally dip into theological waters. And as a quick aside, theology is nothing more than God talk. It's how we think about, talk about, conceive of who and what God is. And I would argue that everyone has a theology, even those of us who do not believe in God, because we have the words to articulate and describe the God that we don't believe in, and those words are often really specific. So, since the lack of belief in a God is, So this fall, Reverend Katie and I spent some time dissecting the theology of the belief that without darkness, we can't know the light. As if without pain, we can't know joy. That somehow we need the contrast to understand what love and joy and loss are. Reverend Katie and I were in agreement that this is a bogus claim, because I can tell you right now that I don't have to eat something disgusting to know that chocolate is amazingly delicious. And I don't have to have my heart broken to laugh at a good joke. These simply are not true. I don't need one to know the other. But beyond these basic facts, what Reverend Katie and I discussed was that if we have to know grief in order to understand happiness, or loss to understand contentment, it says something about God or the divine or whatever presence you imagine that I can't agree with. It suggests that God's spirit of life, mystery, creator, beyond our understandings, ordained a world in which pain and grief and suffering are necessary. Misery and suffering would be preordained in our lives for this belief to be true. Now, our universalist ancestors reasoned that, and they were using the God as parent analogy, that no parent desires harm or pain for their children. Thus, God is a loving God who would not doom humanity to an eternity of pain and suffering. And my theology leans more towards these universalist ancestors of ours. And this theology that we can't know light without darkness does not make any sense to me. And this is not the theology held within the Khalil Gibran reading that we heard this morning, and it's not what I mean when I'm talking about sorrow and joy. In the telling of my mother's last months, I'm not suggesting that I needed the sorrow of her impending loss to know the joy of her presence. When we hear Gibran's words putting joy or sorrow together, it is not a causal dependency, but rather more of an understanding of an interconnectedness. The truth of being human is that joy and sorrow are often braided together. I remember thinking during those months that she lived with us that I should cherish my sorrow because it was directly proportional to the depth of my love for my mom. If she'd not been so important to me, had I not loved her so deeply, then I would not have been as sad. There is a rich complexity held within the relationship between joy and sorrow. And I have to say that this complex relationship is never more apparent than during the holiday season. We are inundated with images of happy families gathering together, laughing, playing, eating. There are movies, songs, carols, creating visions of dancing sugar plums and dreams of a white Christmas, radio flyer sleds, and chestnuts roasting on an open fire. We send and receive holiday cards with photos of our vacations or chatty newsletters full of the good and amazing news about our families. It is so easy to buy into the belief that the only acceptable emotions at this time of year are happiness and joy. And I'm asking you, can we just acknowledge that it is hard to be sad when it seems like the rest of the world is happy and joyful? Because being out of step with the world around us can be disconcerting and disorienting. It's easy to feel isolated and alone, as if we're the only ones not wholeheartedly throwing ourselves into this season of joy. But wholehearted joy isn't the truth for many of us. This congregation has endured so many losses this fall. The absence of these beloved community members is really keenly felt. We are all engaged in this complex dance between joy and sorrow because even as our community has mourned these losses, we've also borne witness to the candles of joy offered for the birth of grandbabies and the birth of friends' babies, for new life and fresh hope, so that even amidst the loss, there's also been joy. And I don't want to suggest that it's only those of us who are grieving the loss of loved ones who are struggling with sorrow at this time of year. For some, the holidays have never been a time of joyfulness. They've always struggled with sorrow. And for some people, they grieve the reality that their families aren't as they want them to be. Maybe they're estranged. Perhaps they're struggling with divorce. There are so many reasons for why sadness and sorrow are real at this time of year. And I also want to acknowledge, sorry, I got ahead of myself a little bit there, that depression is also a major factor for so many people, and it hits in my family very deeply. And I recognize that we struggle to find joy in a season when we're doing and feeling anything but feeling joyful. So there are as many reasons for sorrow in this time of joy as there are people in the world. The holidays are a complex time for so many as they navigate this dance between joy and sorrow. So in thinking about where do you go from here, right? We've got the acknowledgement of sorrow in this time of joy, and where do we go? And I'm often reminded of a Miller Williams poem that's called Compassion. Have compassion for everyone you meet, even if they don't want it. What seems conceit, bad manners, or cynicism is always a sign of things no ears have heard, no eyes have seen. You do not know what wars are going on down there where the spirit meets the bone. And I often think of this poem when I'm confronted with supposed to moments, as in I'm supposed to be happy at this time of year, or that person is so grumpy, don't they know it's the holidays and they're supposed to be kind? Have compassion for everyone you meet, because you don't know what wars are going on down there where the spirit meets the bone. And I want to suggest to us that we practice compassion this holiday season, beginning with ourselves. Because even if you are someone who loves all things holidays, I'm guessing that you also have these supposed to moments. And how can we not? We're still living in such challenging times with the ongoing pandemic that may or may not have reached endemic status, and the rising number of infections of COVID as well as flu and RSV. Have compassion, you all. We are holding a lot. Have compassion for yourself and then offer it widely to this broken world. Because we truly never know what intricate dance someone is engaged in. What wars are going on down on a soul-deep level where the spirit meets the bone. And that balancing act that Khalil Gibran describes between joy and sorrow can often feel like it's on a razor's edge at times. I have to tell you that this being human is not for sissies. It is hard and complex, painful and challenging, and it is also beautiful. It's a sweeping dance, a minuet, a pirouette, a swing, a hip-hop, a break dance of joy and sorrow, hope and disappointment, of love and loss. So practice compassion this season for everyone you meet and without exception. May it be so.
I wanted to read you the text of this song before I sing it, because I think it so well talks about the joy and the sorrow of loss. You taught me the courage of stars before you left, how light carries on endlessly, even after death. With shortness of breath, you explained the infinite, how rare and beautiful it is to even exist. I couldn't help but ask for you to say it all again. I tried to write it down, but I could never find a pen. I'd give anything to hear you say it one more time, that the universe was made just to be seen by my eyes. You taught me the courage of stars before you left, how light carries on endlessly, even after death. With shortness of breath, you explained the infinite, how rare and beautiful it is to even exist. I couldn't help but ask for you to say it all again. I tried to write it down, but I could never find a pen. I'd give anything to hear you say it one more time, that the universe was made just to be seen by my eyes. I couldn't help but ask for you to say it all again. I tried to write it down, but I could never find a pen. I'd give anything to hear you say it one more time, and that the universe was made just to be seen by my eyes. With shortness of breath, I'll explain the infinite, how rare and beautiful it truly is that we exist.
As we near the close of our service, please know that all are welcome at our social hour, both in person indoors and on Zoom. Keep a careful eye out for emails from First Parish and follow us on social media so you can keep up with opportunities for connection for all ages throughout the week and get updates about our COVID-19 protocols. You can sign up for our weekly email, the Bell Notes, by clicking on Subscribe to Newsletter on our website, uuneedham.org. Today, the Grief and Loss Support Group is meeting on Zoom after the service, and the Sunday night book group is meeting on Zoom at 7:30. And later this week, we have our usual Zoom gatherings on Thursday and Friday, Writing Escapes, Vespers, Meditation Ministry, and Creative Escapes. And next Sunday is a very busy one. It's the debut of our new winter holiday pageant, The Grunch That Stole Yulemas. You know, we like having the double U's and things. All ages participation is encouraged, so please let Sarah Elizabeth know if you would be willing to offer your talents, or at least your physical presence in a non-speaking role, in the pageant next Sunday. If you're planning to come to the Grunch on site here in the building, please remember to save time after the service for a special mini performance from the Charles River Ballet Academy at the start of social hour. Do you remember we used to do that? Every year the ballerinas would come? Yay, we're doing it again. If you're planning to participate in the Mitten Tree program for the kids and families at Pathways Family Shelter, you do need to bring your child's gifts or the family gift cards to First Parish next Sunday. You can talk to Sarah Elizabeth if you're here in the building today, and there's more information in your bell notes. And we'll also have a special workshop about how to share our love of First Parish with our neighbors and friends. This is coming from Sarah Elizabeth and Dara. That'll be at noon on Sunday when the ballerinas are finished. And Caregiver Support Group is meeting on Zoom at 12:30. And, that's the last one. And there's a winter solstice celebration ritual at 4 p.m. that'll be both here in the sanctuary and just out front, but briefly, and then back in the sanctuary. If you're looking even farther ahead, please note, as Peter brought up, that for Christmas Eve on Saturday the 24th, we'll be having just one service, candlelight service here in the sanctuary at 5:30. That will be live streamed. We really hope to see you there. And then we'll have 2 Sundays in a row of pre-recorded services exclusively on YouTube and Zoom for both Christmas Day and New Year's Day. Dara and I are collaborating with the worship committee and with Laura on those. Christmas Day will be a collaborative service with a number of UU congregations up and down the East Coast. It should be fun. And then New Year's Day we're still working out, but I'm sure it'll be great too. We always extinguish our chalice here with words promising to carry its flame in our hearts until we are together again, no matter how long it is until we are all together again. Please join me from home or here in the building in saying those words written by Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Elizabeth Selly Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing hymn, Now Let Us Sing, has the distinction of being written by an anonymous author and set to an anonymous tune. The tune, however, in our hymnal is named in honor of Paul Robeson, a brilliant 20th century African-American singer and actor. Please now rise in body or in spirit and join in singing Now Let Us Sing. The lyrics are in your orders of service and at number 368 in your gray hymnals.
Our benediction this morning comes from the Reverend Darcy Roque. Each of us ministers to a weary world. There is too much hardship in this world to not find joy every day. There's too much injustice in this world to not right the balance every day. There's too much pain in this world to not heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth now and do that which calls us to make this world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence every day. Amen. Our service begins where our service ends. Go in peace, go in love.